Hello, my name's Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. And this is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of January 25th, 2014, and one Ahau or Sun in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. We're also going to be talking about the beginning of the Chinese year of the Greenwood Horse, the Aquarius new moon, uh, Mercury moving into Pisces, Venus turning direct, and then Mercury turning retrograde. January 25th, 2014 is one Ahau or Sun. It carries the themes of honoring our ancestors, flowers, light, ascension, co-creation, unconditional love, enlightenment, opening up to new possibilities and beginnings, wholeness, the awakening to miracles. And one of the things I really love about this is that flowers is one of the symbols of Ahau, because the name Patanjali, who was the author of the Yoga Sutras, means one who casts flowers through time, which really is kind of a quality of Ahau, as we have the ancestors casting their wisdom through time. Ahau is considered to be one of the most sacred days because life would not exist on the earth without the warmth and light of the sun. Being both a wave and a particle, light transcends form. This 13-day period is about shining light on any uncertainty, honoring our ancestors, and taking time to purify our light to heal our spirits and Mother Earth. During the Ahau Trisena, we're going to enter into February, which is the second month, and with the digits of 2014, when we add them all together, we get the number 9, and a 9-month in numerology. When we think about it, numerology, basic numerology, reduces all the numbers down to between 1 and 9. So when we think about that arc, 9 represents the time of completion. Although in numerology, January and February of 2014 will repeat November and December of 2013, with January being an 8-month and February being a 9-month. So this actually is about completion, completing a cycle that that leads to a new cycle that's going to begin in March. Which in astrology, the new year begins in March with the vernal equinox. As a 9-month, 2014 is about February 2014 is about tasks that need to be wrapped up or moved out of the way of the new cycle. This begins the energy that what has begun must be completed. So this month is a time to tie up loose ends, so that we can clean our plate for something new as events begin to give us hints about a new direction to take. February is about clearing out old people, places, and things that are no longer are of benefit, to make room for their new counterparts, which will emerge in March. The 9 is represented by the Hermit archetype in the Tarot cards, which is about completion, contemplation, and introspection. This archetype is of the wise lantern bearer, the way shower, whose life experience guides others through similar passages. Another thing I find interesting about this year is that we have 2 new moons in January, none in February, and another 2 new moons in March. So this sets powerful new energies in motion that require the numerological 9-month of February to release what is old, worn out, whether it's aspects of ourselves or life situations, attitudes that no longer work, or concepts, beliefs, or perceptions that really have outgrown their usefulness. 2014, when added together, becomes 7. So we're in a 7 year, which is the emphasis on aspects of awareness, strength, wisdom, and knowledge. 7 in the Tarot is the Chariot card. So 2014 is a Chariot year, which is about finding our stillness even as we're in motion. And Taoist philosophy remarks that change is successful when the great rooted tree and the flowing river are combined within the same natural setting. Given that we're in the midst of great global and individual transformation, the chariot reminds us to incorporate equal portions of contemplation and quietude in 2014. And something that I really find interesting is that we're about to enter into the Chinese New Year of the Green Wood Horse. So what typically pulls the chariot? A horse. So also during this Trisena, we have the Chinese New Year of the Green Wood Horse. Actually, the Chinese have two beginnings. The lunar or yin beginning is the 31st, and the solar or yang beginning is on February 4th. So January, basically we're wrapping up the year of the black water snake. And horses are about change and building and rebuilding, making new friends, leaving old, worn-out alliances behind, changing our image. They bring industry and social gatherings to an all-out gallop. This is really very busy energy and brings a flurry of activity. And dragons and horses are auspicious to the Chinese, as the dragon is the best flyer and the horse is the best runner. And the horse is a symbol of traveling, competition, and victory. It's connected with a speedy success to the Chinese. And the horses are also nonconformist, which will inspire people to act independently. Wood is community-oriented, but with the horse, this is likely to be kind of like the prodigal son who leaves early and then returns to take care of the parents when they're elderly. Green gives a real focus on living things. So I kind of picture this as a group of maverick horses charging across the open plains. They're social but also unique. This brings a focus on resolving problems in a quick, direct manner, which really abhors wishy-washy people. This year of the horse is a time of adventure, excitement, victory, and surprising romances, but it also includes bolting from them as well. We might expect the global economy to become stronger, as industrial manufacturing would be on the rise with a wood horse, or we could be looking at economic chaos and collapse, as we saw with the yellow earth horse year of 1918 with World War I, or the Great Depression in 1930 during the white metal horse, or 1966 when we had the red fire horse with the social unrest and uprisings in the United States, and the peak of the Cultural Revolution in China. Basically, there's no middle ground in horse years. 1954 was the last wood horse year, and in the U.S., we were experiencing the second Red Scare, which began around 1950, which under the leadership of Senator Joseph McCarthy made accusations of disloyalty, subversion, and treason without proper regard for evidence. During the wood horse year, there were events like See It Now, which is a documentary by journalists Edward R. Murrow and Fred W. Friendly, showing that the maverick qualities of horse when they put out their report on Senator Joseph McCarthy. And then later in the year of the wood horse, Joseph Welch of the Special Counsel for the United States Army lashed out at Senator McCarthy during hearings on whether communism had infiltrated the Army by saying, "Have you at long last no decency?" After McCarthy's hearings on the U.S. Army being soft on communism, it was followed by the United States Senate voting 67 to 22 to condemn Joseph McCarthy for conduct that tends to bring the Senate into dishonor and disrepute, which emphasizes horse year's energy to change that comes from leaving old, worn-out alliances behind. At that time, the U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower warned against intervention in Vietnam, but then later in the horse year, he's giving his domino theory speech during a news conference, which basically says that when one country falls to communism, it's like dominoes, other countries will fall as well. The French battled against the Viet Minh in Dien Bien Phu in Vietnam. But after 2 months of fighting, it ends in defeat of the French troops, and then the Geneva Conference sends the French forces south and the Vietnamese forces north of a ceasefire line, which eventually leads to the establishment of the regimes of North Vietnam and South Vietnam. Also, we have the beginning of the Korean Cold War between Communist North and Capitalist South. The U.S. tests hydrogen bomb Castle Bravo and the Bikini Atoll in the Pacific Ocean. The Soviet Union test fires a thermonuclear bomb for the first time. Again, we're seeing horse energy, changing alliances, in this case between two allies in World War II. The CIA engineers a military coup in Guatemala, which triggers a bloody civil war that lasts more than 35 years. The Muslim Brotherhood attempts to kill Gamal Abdel Nasser during the Green Horse Year. And then later in 1954, the Egyptian president is deposed and Nasser replaces him. Horse years are pioneering, and the last wood horse year was when we had the first vaccinations of children, mass vaccinations of children. RCA manufactured the first color TV set, the first televised prize fight in color. Bill Haley and the Comets recorded Rock Around the Clock, which really started the rock and roll craze. The Nautilus was the first nuclear-powered submarine. It was commissioned by the U.S. Navy and put to sea. The Unification Church was founded in South Korea. Brown versus the Board of Education is heard by the U.S. Supreme Court, which determined that segregation as being unconstitutional. Food rationing in Great Britain ended 14 years after it began early in World War II, and years after World War II had ended. Italian mountaineers are the first to summit at K2 in the Himalayan mountains. The first issue of Sports Illustrated was published. The Southwest Asia Treaty Organization was established. The first televised broadcast of the Miss America pageant. Lord of the Flies was published. The development of the first commercial transistor radio. The first Godzilla film premieres in Tokyo. The first successful kidney transplant. The first electric drip coffee maker was invented in Germany, and the first TV dinner was introduced. So all these things, these are real significant. Think about TV dinners and commercially available transistor radios. I mean, these are all things that are changing the social fabric. So this is a lot of social, cultural change, which really is the theme of Wood Horse Years, along with taking action, traveling, executive decisions to bring success through freedom and passion and leadership. And before I get to the daily energies of the one Sun Trisena, on the 25th, we have all these planets are appearing to be moving direct, except for Venus. I'll move it back a little bit here, which is right at the end of its retrograde period, and Jupiter. Both these are appearing to be in reverse motion. I covered the retrograde planets and the mechanics of them in the last video. Venus retrograde in Capricorn brings the planet of aesthetics, romance, and money to remain in the sign of the goatfish for 4 months. Venus moved through its shadow period since November 20th, when it crossed the point where it's eventually going to turn direct, and remained in its shadow period prior to turning retrograde December 21st. Where we received information about needing to adjust our direction during this retrograde period. So basically, Venus turned retrograde on the winter solstice, summer solstice if you're south of the equator, December 21st, at 28 degrees and change, almost 29 degrees of Capricorn. It continues to appear to be moving in reverse until January 31st of 2013, which is a time when we'll notice events related to relationships and or money that shifts our thinking to prepare us for a change that we're going to implement after Venus is direct. Also, Venus retrograde brings people from our past that are pulling at our heartstrings. Jupiter, it's the king of the gods. A planet that's about good fortune, opportunities, faith, religion, beliefs, and expansion. Cancer is about home and family and protection. Mostly what I find with Jupiter retrograde, as with any retrograde cycle, there is a review of the past with Jupiter. What gets reviewed is missed opportunities. In Cancer, this is likely to be about home and the family. When I think about these two retrogrades in concert at the beginning of this, what it is really about Venus rules money, so it's people are reviewing financial dealings, eye for choices that didn't work out as planned. Overall, there's something from the past that really needs to be resolved as we're moving through this 9-month in numerology in February, whether it's a love part relationship or financial considerations. And because we're talking about Capricorn, we need to have commitment to this resolution. And the real big change for this Trisena is Mercury turning retrograde on February 6th, the last day of the Trisena, and then it later turns direct on the 28th. So for most of the month, it's a good time to avoid signing contracts, other legal papers, or making any major decisions or purchases, even taking a new job. So if you can postpone any of these types of activities, the terms are going to be much clearer after Venus is moving direct. Mercury retrograde forces us to slow down, pay attention to our lives, and making us focus on the details of our daily experience when looking at a retrograde cycle. When we look at retrograde, particularly any personal planets, it provides information about a correction in our present course. So during this retrograde period, we have Mercury beginning to travel through its first stage, which it actually began on January 22nd. And basically, there are 2 points to be aware of during when you're looking at a cycle. We look at the point where the planet appears to move backwards, and the point where it appears to be moving forward again. The first stage represents the shadow time between passing 18 degrees Aquarius and the point where it will eventually move forward again, and where it slows, stops, and begins moving reverse. So in this case, we're talking about 3 degrees Pisces. During this first stage, we receive information about needing to adjust our direction. The second stage is the retrograde phase. This is the time to watch for events that occur related to the information that we gathered in the first stage, basically between the 22nd and it turning retrograde. And so the very beginning of this Trisena. And then, so the second stage, when it's retrograde, this is a time where we watch for these events. And then the third stage begins when the planet is moving forward again until it crosses the line where it originally turned retrograde. During the third stage, we move forward with a revision to our previous course. We will enter the first stage for Mercury. This happened actually January 22nd. And then from that until we get until February 6th, we're receiving information about an adjustment that needs to be made in our lives. And then Mercury's retrograde from February 6th at 3 Pisces until the 28th at 18 Aquarius. This is going to be a time where we're going to notice events that shift our thinking and then from February 28th to March 20th, we're in the third stage where we implement a change in direction from our awareness that we've gained through experiencing this process. And I'm going to go into even more detail about Mercury and the Trickster archetype in the upcoming one Ben or Reed or Korn Trisena report, the very next report. So let's look at the daily vibrational energy of this Trisena. January 25th is one Ahau or Sun. It's about unity experience through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors And we have Mercury in a square to Saturn, which means from our perspective here on Earth, this is a 90-degree angle. It favors heavy mental contemplation, requires disciplined thinking, a sharper mind, and a higher standard for quality. But it also brings difficulty in communicating and being understood from others. So it's not the best time for any type of negotiations with folks misinterpreting each other. So I just delay any business dealings for a day or two. It's also a time when people are more likely to withdraw and feel lonely. The gift of this passage is that it increases our ability to think practically, but we can also see imperfections and flaws. Just remember, Saturn's in Scorpio, so you make sure that you've done your research before you're speaking with authority. Otherwise, you might find yourself receiving some sort of censure. And then we've got the Scorpio moon. It's merging with Saturn and challenged by Mercury and that square to Mercury occurs at 8:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So from then until 10:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when it moves into Sagittarius, this is a void of course moon. So basically, the energetic of the day moves from wanting to be alone in our thoughts and feelings, while our moods are influencing our ability to think rationally. And then from 8:55 a.m. to 10:13 p.m., again, it's Eastern Standard Time, convert it to your local time zone. This is a void of course moon, which means avoiding making major decisions and purchases, but really it's good energy to use for resting, to assimilate this latest experiences and energies. The 26th, we got 2 Amish or crocodile in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. This is duality experience through nurturing new beginnings. As the Sagittarius moon is challenged by Neptune, harmonizes with the sun, finds support from Uranus, which moves from bringing our dreams into the day's vibration to feeling the inner and outer equanimity, and then finally having the impulse to engage in activities that make us feel more alive. January 27th, we have 3 Eek or wind, which is about taking action through communications, while the moon is in Sagittarius, is in harmony with Mars and Mercury, which moves us from having a desire to work independently from others to having lots of chatting with friends, neighbors, co-workers, what have you. The 28th, we've got 4 Akbal or night, stability through contemplating the stars, while the Capricorn moon harmonizes with Neptune, is challenged by Uranus, merges with Pluto and Venus, and is opposed by Jupiter, which brings an energetically busy day, moving from being sensitive to the moods of others to people are likely to act hastily and jump to conclusions. And then we have more intense moods rising up to the surface from deep in our psyches with the influence of Pluto, and then having feelings of generosity, and then finally cheerful, warm, gregarious, and just wanting to be out and socializing. And then the 29th, January 29th, we got 5 Con or lizard, empowerment through planting seeds and making new connections. We've got the Aquarius sun in a sextile to Uranus in Aries. So from here, it's a 60-degree angle. It makes the day more interesting from encounters with others, being more illuminating and enlightening experiences while moving through our normal routine. This stimulates our curiosity, our imaginations. Folks are quick-witted, conversations are lively, but it also might be a little less tolerant for any kind of restrictions. Under this influence, it's more important to be true to our authentic individual self than meeting other people's expectations. As the moon is in Capricorn, harmonizing with Saturn, is challenged by Mars, which brings a realistic expectation through being calm and reflective, while people are feeling irritable, which could lead to needless disputes. And then on the 30th, we have 6 Chichan or serpent It brings, it's about being in the flow through being flexible. And we have the second new moon. It's also a super moon because of how close it is to the Earth. It's also known as the black moon because anytime we have two new moons in a month, it's a black moon, the second one. This is in the sign of Aquarius. It's harmonizing with Uranus. It's merged with the sun. Aquarius illuminates social justice, impartiality, freedom, individuality, innovation. It's ruled by Uranus, which is only the other heavenly body other than the sun that's making a major angle in this illumination. This new moon represents pleasant yet restless feelings that are craving emotional excitement to do something outside of our daily routine at a time of a new beginnings. The new moon is an opportunity to set an intention for manifestation on the following full moon. So look at the house of your astrology chart that contains 10 degrees, 55 minutes of Aquarius to consider what area in your life is being activated by this new moon. For me, it's going to be the 8th house of transformation, death, and rebirth. So I'd set an intention related to using this energy to go deeper into the depths of my spiritual path with Uranus involved. I'll want to be open to unexpected, surprising influences that reveal new information, perhaps regarding something outside of my comfort zone. This new moon is particularly potent for making big changes and taking a leap of faith as we are leading us deeper into 2014, as it's kicking into the year of the green wood horse. It's shooting out of its starting gate. And remember, February 2014, it's a 9-month in numerology. So we've got a clean house as part of this new beginning, particularly letting go as we move towards the full moon on February 14th. January 31st, 7 Kimi, or transformation, reflection through releasing what no longer serves us. At this point, Mercury moves into Pisces, making that cross there, which brings our minds and communications into the realm of psychic revelations, because Mercury turns retrograde on February 6th. It will go back into Aquarius and return to the fishes later on in March. While in Pisces, this is a time period with strong spiritual undercurrents and otherworldly realizations, and also brings great confusion. Look for world news and personal events involving water. This is a time of completion, as Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. Venus appears to be stopped at the end of the month prior to turning direct, or going into forward motion from our perspective here on Earth. So it's kind of wrapped around this corner, and now it's going to start moving this way from our perspective. So again, it's in the Earth sign of Capricorn. It brings, this a focus on aesthetics, romance, kind of talked about Venus earlier in the month, earlier in this report. So basically, as it's going direct, this is going to take a few days to build momentum before it's moving forward again. It highlights the implementation of a new cosmic course correction until March 4th. It's based on the information experiences that we've had during Venus retrograde. This will likely come as a calling from the heart with major energy shifts in Capricorn. It could be connected to business, career, or relationships that are related to these environments. Also on the 31st, Jupiter is opposed by Pluto. So from our perspective here on Earth, this is a 180-degree angle, which begins Jupiter's interaction with Uranus-Pluto square to exactitude for the second time, and it's building towards the Grand Cross that we've been talking about in April, which will be the third such alignment. This can seem like completion of a long drive towards success or power, but it also brings an important caution because there is a resistance from unseen, powerful forces. And this is a time to follow your strategy and authority very closely if you've had a human design reading, to move through this time with relative ease, as opposed to folks who try to think their way through something that the mind can't grasp and only detriments. People become ruthless in their desire to get ahead under this Pluto Jupiter tug of war. The influence is going to last for a few days before and after the 31st. This is a time where there can be difficulties with the law and even arrest. This can be important to watch local and world events, as people may provoke authorities with very unfavorable consequences. It also indicates the possibility of fanatical or obsessive behavior, where folks are certain that they're right and willing to consider and unwilling to consider another person's point of view. Self-righteousness will abound. This is a day where it can go either way, from making a power play or being the victim of one. The best way to navigate this energy is to work in the best interests of others, for the highest good, to recognize the beliefs can change and be open to considering other opinions. Also on the 31st, the moon is challenged by Saturn, harmonizes with Mars, merges with Mercury, which moves from people feeling lonely and isolated while having a desire to work independently from others. And then later, positive energy for integrating our thoughts and moods. February 1st, we've got 8, Manique or Deer. This is about balance through being of service to others, as the Pisces moon merges with Neptune and finds support from Jupiter and is in harmony with Pluto and Venus. The day moves from feelings of empathy for those around us, including the possibility of clairvoyance or telepathic experiences for those of us who are sensitive by nature, and to later people having a pleasant sense of well-being while experiencing deep emotions on a profound level, and then finally wanting to be with friends and the people that we love. February 2nd is a 9, Lamont or Star or Rabbit. It's about patience experienced through being grateful for abundant relationships, while the Pisces moon finds support from Saturn and then is void of course from 11:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when it enters Aries. So the day's energy moves from having more sober, realistic views of life. Then for over a 12-hour period, it does not favor major decisions or purchases. So you want to convert those days to your local time zone. But it's good to use for resting, to assimilate all this energy and experiences we're having. On the 3rd, we've got 10, Maluk, or offering, manifestation through appreciating creation, with the Aries moon merging with Uranus and challenged by Pluto, Jupiter, and Venus, which has people feeling impulsive and acting rashly, with moods changing quickly and unexpectedly, and then benevolent and generous feelings for those in our immediate environment, and having the compulsion to act in ways that may not be good for us in the long run. Sorry, we got to plug this thing in. Hopefully we're still okay here. Sorry for this brief technological interruption. Everything seems fine there. So anyway, back to the report. Basically, where this moon, Aries moon, is going is that on the 3rd, we're moving from impulsive actions, acting rashly, changing emotions quickly, unexpectedly, then benevolent and generous feelings for those in our immediate environment, and then having the compulsion to act in ways that might not be good for us when it's dancing with Pluto, and then finally pleasant energy for being with others that we really want to get to know better. February 4th is 11, Auk or Dog. This is about resolution through enjoying family and friends, while the moon in Aries harmonizes with the sun, is opposed by Mars. The day moves from feelings of balance between our inner and outer worlds, as opposed, and then when it's opposed by Mars, influences people to be more excitable and irritable, which can cause problems in our personal lives. The fifth is the 12 Shuin, or monkey, Shuin. So it's understanding through creating something new. While the Taurus moon harmonizes with Mercury and Neptune, which goes from being very social and chatty to being sensitive to the moods of others. Then February 6th, we have 13 ebb or road movement to the next stage through serving your community. While Mercury turns retrograde. So at this point, Mercury has moved this far around. It's still in Pisces, but it's now starting to look as it's moving backwards from our perspective here on Earth. Even folks who don't follow astrology are usually aware of Mercury retrograde's effect on communication, technology, and travel. This becomes a time that shifts our review of information below the surface with a focus on these Piscean themes of illusion, deception, imagination, adaptability, and forgiveness, until it's going to return to Aquarius when it crosses over that line on the 12th. So from the 6th to the 28th, it's a good time to avoid signing contracts, other legal papers, making any major purchases, even taking a new job, as we talked about before. So if possible, this is not always possible to postpone these things, I know it, but if you can, the terms are definitely going to be clear when Mercury is moving direct. And this is where we have the first quarter moon in Taurus harmonizing with Jupiter, finding support from Pluto and Venus, and challenged by the Sun and opposed by Saturn. The lunar influence goes from feeling in the flow and having a sense of wholeness to Pluto bringing out intense emotions and stimulating sensitivity, which is great for sexual relationships, and then enjoying the pleasant feelings and social interactions. And then later we encounter challenges to our daily routine, and finally feeling lonely and isolated. So no matter what the energies that are affecting you during this one sun trisena, take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, and being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, or just really being conscious with someone you love, or even with some animal you love, just being conscious any way that works for you. Because every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what dramas are beckoning to distract us. We're all here just giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage. Just take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part by remembering you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. Thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on February 7th, 2014. For one, Ben or Reed or Corn in the Sun Tzolkin calendar. We'll also be talking about retrograde Mercury in more detail as it moves into Aquarius, the Leo full moon, the Sun moving into Pisces. You can check us out on Facebook or YouTube, on the Mind Magics website. We're also on Before It's News and Blogspot. The text here is on the blog as well. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or texts as widely as you choose. I'm going to be discussing the astrology of February 2014 and providing short, 10 to 15 minute human design readings to the participants of the Earth Needs Rebel show on Orion Talk Radio on Monday, February 3rd. And this is a great deal because if you send them a text and tell them how to contact you, they'll call you for free anywhere on the planet to bring you on the show. So you get a free reading and the call is free as well. So, I'd love to connect with you during the radio show. As always, I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you've got any questions or you wish to schedule a reading. I am providing readings and wish to make this service available to the greatest amount of folks. So I created three options with 3 levels of compensation. These readings are really designed to provide you information to help you navigate these difficult times. At the very basic level, we're going to look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your individual strategy and authority in making life decisions based on your unique design. I include 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressive astrology chart, along with the human design reading. So you get 2 readings in one at the middle level. And then at the top level, the human design and astrology transit reading will be recorded and sent to you as an MP3 file that you can download to your computer. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You're going to need to either be able to call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect on Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations. We're trying to keep this business working. This is a business, and keep these reports freely available. Best way to make a donation: get a reading. As always, I am blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh. And I really hope to connect with you through a reading, through the radio show, or certainly the next video. Peace, everybody, and all my best.